This simple formula on my screen right now is probably the reason why I became completely financially free, and I want to go ahead and share it with you and what I plan to do with it in the future. Those who may not been watching my YouTube channel for a long time, then you might not know that for the better part of at least maybe the last 7 years, I've been running, well, I have ran. I'm not going to say I've been running because I don't run in anymore, but I had ran a collection of over 70 plus websites that are what I call passive income assets. I would work on a website for sometimes 3 months, sometimes 5 months. Sometimes if the website was a little more complicated, it would be, even towards about a year. And working on that website, creating content on that website, really nurturing that website, then kind of letting it go and allowing it to produce income for me over time through either selling my own products or affiliate marketing, ads, so on and so forth. I've made videos talking about the different monetization methods. But this strategy right here is essentially, like I said, what bought me my financial freedom. In fact, if you want to go ahead and take a look at some of these videos, I'll leave them in the link in the description. They somewhat relate to this topic. For example, the video right here, this thumbnail is one of the videos that I posted showing a website that made me $52,000, roughly $400 through the course of the lifetime of that website. I ended up selling it, but nonetheless, the video is there. You could go see the proof. And that was a website that was, the 52,000 was just counting the sales on that website, which at the time were PDFs, they were ebooks. And I've spoken about this before, but I'll reiterate it. I could sell an ebook for $100, $99, $75. Now, to some people, that sounds a little crazy. They're used to merch by Amazon, they're used to KDP, they're used to low-ticket products. And in the grand scheme of things, guys, a $99 ebook is still considered low ticket. It might be considered high ticket for an ebook, but it's still, in the grand scheme, still considered a low ticket offer. I talked about this before, but you have to find niches and products that people cannot go without. They cannot live without. They need the solution now. I'll give you a quick example. I had a blog in the space of French drains. There were a lot of people who needed to install or fix or replace a French drain system in their home. And for those who don't know, people who have basements, especially in the Northeast, a lot of people have basements. Basements are made in homes here in the Northeast for to keep pipes warm and things like that so they don't burst in the winter. Well, people have basements, and when you have a basement, you have water pressure that basically pushes along the basement walls. Anybody who's in really construction or kind of, living in the Northeast kind of understands this. And what happens is over time, those walls kind of have cracks and water starts to seep in, and it really creates a real problem for the homeowner. And the homeowner might eventually have to, if they just let it go and they don't pay attention, they might have to replace the entire wall, get it dug out, and get their house jacked up and get the whole entire wall replaced if they're not doing proper maintenance on their home. So what I did was I created a blog around this French drain system. I studied it, learned how to, basically learned everything about it, and then created an ebook on it. And that ebook helped people all around the world. And now this is not the ebook in this specific niche, but that ebook saved people thousands of dollars, because if you had to go hire somebody, or you had to hire some sort of plumber or some sort of team to create a sump pump system or something like that, that is going to cost you thousands of dollars. That's not an exaggeration. And so people would refer to the ebook and the guides in my blog instead as a solution, and they would do it themselves, DIY, right? So what I'm saying here is that if there's a problem that is serious enough, if there's a problem that is big enough, your blog can solve it, and you can charge handsomely for it. Which is how I charged, like I said, sometimes $70 an ebook, $75, $99. There were moments in time where I might have charged like an ebook plus, other kinds of resources, $129, $300, etc. So it's not crazy to assume that you can create a lot of money off of just PDF written content, and you absolutely can, because knowledge is power and people are willing to pay for it. So this formula right here, research, product creation, landing page, promotion, this is, and it doesn't have to be in this order necessarily, but this is exactly the component to each part of this business, okay? And the beautiful thing about this is now that I have sold all those websites that have made me money with this exact strategy, once again, whether it be products that I own or products that I don't own, that I'm an affiliate of, it still makes money and still tried and true, and it still works to today with ease. To the degree that I'm actually going to create AI tools, AI bots, AI agents, whatever you want to call them, to automate this entire thing from scratch for me. From creating the actual website to doing the actual research to finding what product they can sell to even creating the actual product, an AI tool will create that for me. And it will do my very own promotion. Now, once again, I am building custom software that allows me to do this. If you've seen my past few videos, I have been in this custom software game. I'm creating my own custom software to automate my life. It's kind of my goal now. I don't want to really do any of the work anymore. It's not that I don't want to, but I just think AI can handle it. It's at a mental acuity point where you can train AI in a specific set of way, where you can completely make it sound like a human being, do all the work for you, do all the research, do all the product creation. You just have to create the infrastructure for it. And that's exactly what I'm doing today, behind the scenes, creating a tool like this. So I'll kind of share with you everything that I'm doing. I'm not necessarily saying that everyone here has to do what I'm doing by any means. Definitely not saying that, but I'm just kind of outlining it so you can kind of go through this yourself. And over time, you guys will see my videos where I eventually do this. But this is, like I said, the formula that worked for me. And anybody who's curious, I never rely on one business or one website or one mechanism, one vehicle to make me all the money that I need. That's probably one of the worst things you can do, especially 2025 and beyond. The reality is most people don't have the ability, the know-how, the knowledge, the resources financially, the skills, whatever you want to call it. They don't have the acumen to scale a business to 5, 10, 20 million a year. It's just not possible for most people. But most people can absolutely take a business to 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 grand a year. That's not that hard. And that's the truth. Anybody here could do that. Anybody could take a business to 100 grand a year. Well, imagine instead of having one, you had 50 or 20 or 30. Over the years, you've accumulated these businesses. They might not necessarily all make 100 grand a year, but some make 40, some make 50, some make 20. Well, maybe one or two makes 100. Next thing you know, you're making multi-million dollars every single year doing this, which is exactly what I was doing. So I'll kind of share the approach here. Like I said, I never needed to get one business to 5, 10, 20 million a year. Never needed that kind of stress because it does come with different levels of stress. It does come with employees. It does come with a lot of different things that regular businesses essentially don't need. And at this point in time, I'm valuing my financial freedom, and when I say financial freedom, I would much rather be free than tied to a desk working all day. I could do whatever I want. I could exercise when I want, go to sleep when I want, do what I want, all right? So let's kind of break this formula down, and I'll kind of explain it. Research. You got to be able to research what it is that you're selling to people. You know, you have to have this thing where people truly are in need of that product. If they don't feel like they're in need, meaning they feel like they can go without it, it's a losing formula. You're never going to be able to charge $100 for an ebook, $50, $75 for an ebook. People are just going to look at you and they're just going to walk past your product because it's not a need. And I talked about this in our members area, but there are certain ways from a copywriting standpoint to psychologically trigger people, and really research helps you do that. You have to figure out what are people desperate for. And once again, AI is going to do all this for me when I create my own personal infrastructure. I was doing this thing all manually for years and years and years, but we're at a point now where AI is at a completely different level. And we're kind of in a golden era where people that know how to speak the language of computers can utilize AI, get a clear advantage, and utilize it for probably a few years to be able to make AI do everything that a normal human would. As far as product creation, you can make an AI, essentially create ebooks for you, PDFs for you. But once again, not some cookie cutter garbage that somebody reads and it doesn't really help them and they feel like they got scammed. No, you have to really train the AI. You have to make it think the same way a normal human would think. And you have to be able to go above and beyond with it. I can't really talk about it here because it's not on paper yet. It's not something it's fully built yet. and it's not something I fully completed yet, but once it's all completed, you guys will see it. Landing pages. You need to have a website. You need to have landing pages, but once again, we're at a point in time where you don't need to create one. AI can do that for you if you speak the language of computers. And I'm, like I said, currently building that behind the scenes. It's by no means easy. I'm not trying to act like it's easy at all. It's actually quite difficult. But this is what I'm doing with my time. So when I set up an AI, it will create research on what are some of the problems people have, what are some of the focuses they have, what are some of the needs that they have. It will then take those focuses, take those needs that the consumer may have, and inject it into a product. Create a product for the consumer. When the product is fully created, right? Fully created. And by the way, that product doesn't have to be an ebook. It could be videos. Yes, AI can create videos now. All you have to do is set up an infrastructure. You connect it to 11 Labs. 11 Labs is going to be the voice. You make the AI create the script the proper way. The voice reads the script. It sounds normal, natural. Then you start creating graphics for the video, right? And you start doing these kind of things. Now, it's not necessarily video I'd post on YouTube, because with YouTube, I feel like there's a natural human essence. But as for a product, it can work. Product creation. AI can create the product however you set the infrastructure up. There's not necessarily software on this now that I know of that exists. However, I'm going to be creating it, or / I am creating it as we speak. Then I'll have the same software create the landing page based on the contents of the product. Meaning, hey, this is what we're going to offer you. This is what we're providing. This is what we're giving, right? And then finally, the promotion. The AI created all parts of this. They created the product, they created the website, they created the research. They know what the consumer needs. Now it's time to promote everything that the consumer expects to see. So whether it be through blogs, whether it be through video, for me, it's going to be blogging. I've spent too many years learning and studying the algorithms and SEO and Google. So for me, it makes sense. It's going to be blogging, and I will create a bot that essentially creates articles, edits articles, posts articles in such a way that it makes my website grow, right? Gets attention. People search things on Google because they have a specific need. Then my blog comes up, and that will work as promotion. And from the blog, they will access the landing page of those products, and then they'll access the product because we've effectively done the research part right. So the nice thing about currently AI, and depends what model you use, of course, it depends what kind of system you use, but current levels of AI can have what's referred to as tokens, 1 million tokens of input. So an AI can sit there and kind of understand a lot of information based on, your training for that input. So what I really have to do, or really nail well, is the research side of things. And I'm not necessarily doing the research, but I'm providing the AI the infrastructure on how to think to do the research. What I would normally do in a circumstance. The AI will then think of the research, think of what are the problems consumers are going through, their feelings, their emotions. Then from that, how can we solve all those problems? Well, how can we give the consumer something that would alleviate those issues? That's the product creation side. Once again, it might differ for somebody different than the next person, but it could be video, it could be PDF, it could be various different things. And then from there, right, the website or the landing page is created around the infrastructure of the product. And then it's just a matter of promoting the landing page, once again, through blogging. So I used to do all this manually. There was no get out of jail free card. I used to do this all manually, all by hand. Took forever, okay? And took years. I'm not going to say forever. It took years. I was in this business for 7, 8, 9 years. So it's been a very, very long time that I've been doing this. And, not always successfully either. There was a lot of failures along the way. Learned a lot, of course. But now that I kind of understood it, now it just makes sense. So what I'm going to do here is on my members area, and I'll just pull it up here. Let's go to wap.com/autopilot or passive income school. This is our members area. For those who don't know, people get access to free software in our members area. The first piece of software was Design Sensei, which is an automated AI print-on-demand tool that creates designs for you through AI. That's just the beginning. And Of course, we've been, making edits to that tool. We've been improving it. We've been doing a whole lot of cool things to that tool, and it will still be improved. However, something that I will be doing is creating this tool as well for people to access. So it's going to be a lot. There's really a lot to it. The infrastructure is very complicated, but once again, I'm a student. I'm learning, and it's pretty cool to focus on, because once I can get this infrastructure fully built, now I have effectively an employee that is working 24/7, 365, focused on making me money, and that will be so, so incredible, beyond anything that I've ever experienced before. Because like I said, I have such a deep connection with this business model because it's exactly what set me free financially. So, it's not going to be easy, but I'm currently working on it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Just figured I'd share this information with you. And if you have questions or if you have suggestions, let me know. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace out. Bye.